Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Today we're talking about growing weary in well-doing. I don't know about you, but I have been weary in well-doing. It's not easy. Doing good isn't an easy thing to do. And a lot of times in life, we have these big dreams that we want to accomplish that we think are good, which may ultimately be not so good, or may not be our best anyways. So not sure if you guys know what weary is, but in this instance, it's burnout. I don't know if you guys have ever been burned out before, but it's easy to do, especially when you're doing good. Have you ever cleaned your room and it got dirty again? And then you cleaned your room and it got dirty again, and cleaned your room and it got dirty again, and you cleaned your room and it got dirty again? That's kind of what it's like to grow weary in well-doing. There's things out there that we just gotta do that are good things to do. I have 4 kids, and we have a pretty small house, and it gets trashed super quick when my kids are being their loving kid selves. And whether it's knocking a jar of spaghetti sauce off and glass shattering everywhere, or if it's them being just kids and tearing into a bag of rice and spilling it, like yesterday. Both of those happened yesterday. But it's wearisome for me as a parent to see this mess happen over and over and over and over again, and me having to teach and to train something that I've taught and trained several times. When I was in the military, I worked under a guy, and he said, I don't care to tell you anything in the world. I'll teach you everything I know, but don't make me teach you twice. And so that was drilled in my head. I know that that's not realistic, and I'm sure he taught me a lot of things that were like lessons that he had to teach over and over and over. But his point was to be a good learner. And so I make it a point to be a good learner. When I learn something, I want to really make it stick, especially if the teacher has invested a good amount of time, effort, or energy into my training. And so with my kids, I pour out effort, energy, and training into teaching my kids to pick up after themselves. We have a list of rules we follow. We have, I give guidance and encouragement, like, hey, put your cup in the sink, or when you're done with your plate, make sure, you throw it in the garbage if it's a disposable plate. But it's something that I can grow weary doing, even though that thing that I'm doing is good, because I don't want my kids to grow up to be slobs. What about schoolwork? Schoolwork is a good thing, and it's easy to grow weary of it. It never ends. It's over and over and over. You finish one set, and they give you more. You finish that set, and they give you more. And that repeats for 12, 15, 16 years, depending on how far you go in school. And it's easy to grow weary of that. I know after I was done with high school, I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I'm not doing any more school. I am sick of school. I want to live my life. I want to make some money. And I've already had a job since I was like 15, 16. So I was used to making money and used to having money. And my parents encouraged me. Said, well, if you don't do college, give it at least one semester, give it a try. So I started college, and I did a good college try. And I had a motorcycle wreck. I broke my collarbone, and all the classes that I didn't have A's in, I failed. And so I failed half my classes because I missed all my finals and a ton of work from my motorcycle wreck. And I grew weary in doing that good thing of going to college, and I just up and quit. So I worked in a factory, then joined the military, and then later on in life, then I went back and got my degree. And then I understood the reason why that I was doing the good thing that I was doing. And so having that knowledge of why I was doing that good thing really helped me with my motivation and with the stick-to-itness to finish through. But schoolwork is something that it just seems to never end, and it's tough when you're faced with it day after day. It's easy to grow weary. So what does the Bible say about it? Our verse this week is from Galatians 6:9. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. There's 3 things that I want us to take out of this. Number 1 is that it is easy to grow weary if you are doing good. Because if the Bible warns you of be not weary in well-doing, then that's a pretty good indicator that if you're doing good, then it's going to be hard. A lot of times we think of these plans or these dreams of, if I'm going to do this, then it's going to be magic and rainbows and everything is going to be wonderful. No, if you're doing a good thing, then you're fighting against the system. And it's going to have trials and tribulations and troubles, but in Romans 5 it teaches us that those tribulations ultimately bring hope. That's another lesson. Number 2 is that there is a reward. So the charge is to not grow weary in well-doing. And it says, for we will reap, right? Reap is like a grim reaper is collecting souls. A reap is when you gather or harvest, you get something out of it. And so we will reap in due season. So number 2 is that there is a reward to be had. So the third point is that we must have patience. And then the last part of that verse, for in due season, we will reap if we faint not. So that goes together with that there's a season and if you faint not. So a lot of times we think that if we plant corn and we see the green stuff coming up, we're like, all right, we're going to yank it out of the ground. Oh, there's no corn. Why is there no corn? I planted corn, there should be corn. No, there's a season where you plant in spring, you harvest in the fall, or whatever the corn planting cycle is. That's the way that I see it. But there's a process where you have to plant it, and it grows and develops and matures. And even though it may look like that it's ready to be plucked or picked, doesn't necessarily mean that it is ripe for harvest. And you know what? God's the only one that knows a lot of times when those harvest times are. And we may not know exactly when that harvest is. So I want to know, what is a well-doing thing that you do that makes you weary? Let me know in the comments below. Seriously, type it out. Tell me. But you guys go through this stuff too, because you have homework, you have to clean your room, and even though you do it 1,000 times, you still have to do it. But I'm going to encourage you, don't grow weary in well-doing. One, it's got to be done. It's like cutting the grass. Some people love cutting grass, some people hate cutting grass. Now that I have a riding lawnmower, I enjoy cutting the grass a lot more. You know, just you put the mower in gear and put your mind in neutral and just ride around in circles. But you have to cut the grass. That's an illustration that I like to use, because if you don't do it, then look at the results that are going to happen. The results that happen is you're going to have tons of grass grow up. If you're like me and live out in the country, then you'll probably have like ticks to worry about, getting in the yard of the tall grass, and then it's got to be done eventually, right? So letting it get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse doesn't help the end result, because it's going to have to be done anyways at some point. Same thing for homework, same thing for cleaning your room. If you let it get out of hand, then it's only going to get worse, and that monster grows bigger and bigger and bigger every single day. So let us not be weary in well-doing. We will reap a reward if we faint not. But that reaping is going to happen in due season. So hang in there, do the good, but look forward to the future. Don't look back. Thanks for joining me.